Jason Rona here. We're got another video here we're playing today with some of the ladies of RC. We're here up in the restaurant at the Utabi Arena. Just kind of a different place we've never been to before, and we got a nice little setup. We're talking with, first we'll talk with Darlene Hartson, who's the son of Stephen Hartson. Oh, he's the son of you. And he's a current four-wheel drive world champion. He's the 2013 world champion in four-wheel drive. And Darlene, talk to us a little bit about how, what's it like to be a mom in this sport hobby, and what's it been like traveling with Stephen through the years?
Well, it's been totally amazing, and it's been a very fun activity. Stephen started driving the RC cars when he was 10 years old, and took it from there and went to SoCal Raceway in Huntington Beach, California, and raced with Ryan Cavallari and the other big guys, and he never expected to be up there with them, racing with them. So it's just been a great 10, 12 years of racing toy cars.
So you and Dan are very, very involved with Stephen in the hobby. You know, maybe more so than anybody. You guys have traveled with him, I think, to Japan now twice. You've kind of been all over the place with him. Is there anything that you think that you guys bring to the table at these races to him to help maybe with the comfort side of it, or kind of what's your responsibility on the team side of it?
Yes, we definitely have brought Stephen a comfort zone when he comes to these races, having both his parents here. I hate to say it, but we're the Gophers, you know. What's for lunch, Mom? You know, that type of thing. Can you grab me a water? And Dan's the mechanic and can do whatever Stephen needs him to do there. So yeah, it's given Stephen a great comfort, and it's a great family event to spend time together doing this. Everyone in RC racing, they're great people. It's a great family.
You know, throughout the years, Stephen's had some great results. You know, he's kind of known as being he was the king of OCRC there. You guys are very close to that track, but I mean, you've had, you know, a lot of your biggest success away. What was it like, you know, during the event wins that Stephen's had, whether it was the Hot Rod Shootout or the Worlds? What do you experience kind of on the high and the lows of the emotions there?
That's a good one, Jason. The highs are always, you know, when things go well and everything's going smooth, and then you got the lows where things go wrong, so it can be a little bit frustrating, but with everything in our control and things go good, it's great. So we look forward to it all the time.
You're in a very famous video from the Worlds in Chico. Talk to us a little bit about how you're feeling at that moment. And it's okay to be passionate about it, but, you know, what's it like for that moment, you know, when things just either go right or go wrong?
Well, I think the video that you're talking about speaks for itself. I was in the third A main. We were going into the third A main thinking, you know, we're racing in the A main with the world's fastest guys. This is great. And when Stephen was actually up front, where he had a chance of taking the world title, my body was just shaking. It was just shaking in disbelief. And when he got taken out on that last lap, again, the video out there tells my feelings about that. It was just spectacular. I was so excited I could not stop screaming after the event. I had to just stop and take a deep breath to grab myself together again. I couldn't get to my son. The crowd was all around him. I could not get to my son to congratulate him. It was great. I was in shock. I was just shaking. It was amazing. It was a great feeling.
So, you know, with Stephen, you know, being out there and winning that Worlds and it being so emotional, I mean, do you think, I mean, who do you think is more nervous, the drivers or the parents or the pit people?
I have a funny feeling Dan and I were more nervous than Stephen. He had everything clicking and going right. He was in a calm mood, and he was relaxed, and that's what made it work. Yeah, I was the nervous one.
All right, well, we'll switch over. We got Megan Tebow here, and she's been a wife in RC here for quite a while. She's got a couple little girls, and they're here by themselves this weekend, kind of having a little vacation and a World's experience. Jared TQ'd the two-wheel drive class, and Talk to us about what it's been like being with Jared in his RC racing career. I mean, you've been there almost as long as all of us.
Yeah, I enjoy being here. I feel like I'm kind of like the stewardess on the airplane, you know. I try to have a calm face no matter what. So if things are going really bad, everything's fine. And if things are going really good, everything's fine. So I don't want to get too excited or too nervous, or I'm really nervous watching the races, but it's nice to be when I'm at home and I can just watch the scoring. And actually watching it live is more nerve-wracking for me than actually watching it.
Okay, Megan, we're going to talk to you a little bit about being a wife in RC with Jared. How did you exactly meet with Jared, and how did you get involved in this whole thing?
We met in 2003. My dad has a RC track, or did have an RC track in Pleasant Hill, Missouri. And it's at the Mugen Challenge race. And I was selling Gatorade, and him and Bobby Joe Tillman came over and got introduced, and so they hung out with me all weekend while I sold Gatorade, and we got each other's email addresses, and then a couple months later he asked me out, and I was like, I told my mom, I said, I don't think I can date him. He lives in California. And my mom was like, oh, just give him a try. And so then we dated long distance for 3 years, and we flew back and forth, and then he moved to Missouri, and we got married when we were both 19, and so I've been married almost 9 years now, and so then he still races, and we're an RC family, and now our almost 5-year-old daughter, she's super into the racing, and she wants to be a NASCAR driver. So she doesn't want to actually drive the cars like a radio control. She wants to actually be in the car. So it's fun. She hangs out downstairs with Jared when he builds his cars, especially for like his 4-wheel. She helped open all the parts and laid them all out and organize them, and she was down there for like 2 hours with Jared, helping him with all of his RC stuff. So she and him have this little close-knit relationship. So it's been really cute to see, and so it's nice. I get to come to the track sometimes and be here for Jared. I think he needs that, for calming him down sometimes.
So, I mean, it's a little bit unique. I mean, obviously with Jared, I mean, I don't know if you knew at the time when you started dating if he was as good of a racer. Did you know he was as good of a racer as he was? But he's obviously in contention for being one of the better drivers, that I've ever seen in this. I mean, the expectations was a podium or a win, pretty much. So, when you're watching him out there and you see what's going on, are you really like living it with him, like while the race is going on?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a job in itself, but then the fact that it's competitive, and then there's all these younger guys coming up, and Jared, I think it's hard for Jared to like, man, I'm one of the older people now, and especially since I think it was when him and Mark Pavidis met. Mark Pavidis was like Jared's age now, meeting Jared as, a young kid. And so I think it's interesting for Jared just to see himself in that different role now. But yeah, I mean, it's so competitive and everyone's so good. And so yeah, when he's so hard on himself that when he doesn't get a podium, it's always, am I fast enough still? And so he is, has this rigid schedule of, always practicing now. And it's always practice, but just a really rigid schedule of what he does. And so it's just been interesting. And I think he still has so many years ahead of him. But yeah, it's definitely such a frustrating and melting down almost of I didn't get a podium and so there's so many good guys out there now. It's not just a couple guys. I mean, there's a handful. There's quite a few guys out there that are always in contention of winning. So it's been really fun to see, but man, I could grow a lot of gray hairs watching these races.
So the other thing that I guess really kind of stands out to me about Jared when I've talked to him is he's really good at other things too. Like he's run a lot of dirt bikes. His dad was involved with motorcycles. I've seen him on bicycles, and he's really kind of, when we were in Finland in 2011, they had this, I don't know, what did you want to call this, overgrown go-kart thing that they let all the racers in the top 3 run at the end of the race, and he was like by far the most comfortable guy right away in it, and he kind of is a very motorsports kind of guy. So What do you see as far as that goes?
Oh man, he is so good. Being married to him has been one of the most interesting things ever because he's good at everything and not just one thing. Like for cooking, for example, that's supposed to be my job and I'm supposed to be really good at it. And he is amazing at cooking. Like he had no skill set at cooking whatsoever. And he kind of was forced into cooking because I'm not very good at it. And so he is amazing at cooking. It seems like he was brought up taught to give everything that you do 110%. So if he's going to do something and he's not good at it, he just doesn't do it anymore. So whatever he's going to do and he gets a little niche for it, I mean, he puts all effort into it. So he has so many hobbies, and which is great. And then I'm like, I don't really have any hobbies. I like watch our kids every, like what, and I get it. Guys have more hobbies than girls. So I feel kind of like I need a hobby, but I'll just enjoy his hobbies with him. But yeah, I mean, he loves dirt biking, mountain biking. He got into like fishing for a while. He's kind of out of that. Got into golfing for a little while. He's kind of out of that. But yeah, goat karting, that was a big one. I mean, he had a goat cart, and his dream would be like drive something in the car. That would be his dream for sure. But yeah, he has a lot of hobbies, and but yeah.
So what is it like with with your children, when you talk to them about what Jared does for a living? I saw a video once with a guy with a monster truck, and he said that when his kids went to school, they did like a show and tell, and he's like, well, my daddy drives Bigfoot, and all the kids are like, oh, I don't believe you, So, I mean, it's kind of an extension of that. It's like, hey, my dad races RC cars.
Yeah, it's been interesting because Rosalind doesn't understand because we're really blessed. Jared, when he's home, we're all home together. So we normally... I work 3 days a week, but then the other days, we have lunch together at the table. We have breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the table. So we're really fortunate that we get to have that, and Jared will work down in the basement for, when he works. But it's such a different atmosphere for Rosalind because she doesn't understand why her friends' parents have to leave, and they go somewhere, and they're gone all day, and then they come back, so I'll tell her this is Daddy's job. He has to leave for a race, or Daddy needs to go downstairs and work. And so it's hard for her to understand, like, I don't understand while their parents leave. And so his, I guess, job in itself is hard to understand. She, thinks he does it for fun because it's fun to her. Like, how can that be the job? But I think that's how Rosalind sees it, is kind of frustrating and doesn't understand while all of her other friends have an office to go to, that he stays home and leaves for races. So it's kind of confusing, I think, for her.
Okay, well, we'll talk to Allison a little bit. She's married to me. We'll talk to her about being in the industry a little bit. She works every day in RC. A lot of people think sometimes that we just sit around and play with the cars all day. Everyone's like, I wish I worked in RC, because they think they're going to drive all day and race their cars all day. But what's it like being in the industry and kind of working with some of these drivers that are out there and being behind the computer and that type of thing?
Wow. I mean, on one hand, it's what you'd expect. Lots of people, different countries, all over the world, lots of questions. On the other hand, it's not what you'd expect because I wear a lot of hats too, but depending on what day it is, some days are really consistent and we do the same thing and, take orders, and some days everything's melting down and you have to control what's going on in the office. But sometimes it's, normal office work, and sometimes it's full-on race mode, so.
Yeah, so when you come to these events, you usually come to a lot of the either nationals or worlds. I think you had a phrase, I'm not a club race girl. But talk to about being at a race like this. I mean, this is obviously when the pressure is really high, but you're seeing it from another angle too.
Oh yeah, I like watching the scoring and definitely knowing who's up, who's got the fastest times. I guess I like the statistics and the numbers a little bit. It's definitely the proven facts you can see. I mean, it's awesome to watch them go around. See how some cars land and some jump differently. But the pressure gets intense, and main days, wow, it's incredible.
So when you're working in the industry, is there anything that you see that you would like to see different in the industry, or is there something that people might not know about what it's like to work in the industry?
Well, I think people think it's fun. We do get that a lot. Hey, I want to come and work for you guys. Do you have any openings? And I want to, it's It's still work. It's definitely work. Everyone has their different backgrounds they come from and the things that they are good at, and then we try to put them in a position of where they can help the best. But, I mean, to change the industry, gosh, put me on the spot there. I mean, I'm sure there's little things that could be tweaked, but sorry, nothing comes to mind.
Okay. Darlene, let's switch back to you. We're here at the actual Worlds itself. Steven had a couple rough runs in the two-wheel. He broke a couple times. He ended up, so he didn't really have any throwouts for his scores, so he had to just score what he had in 3 runs to be in the B final. So how is he feeling overall, and how's your experience here?
He's feeling good overall. With only having 3 good runs and breaking twice, that was real difficult, but it put him in the B main, which I think is still spectacular for what he had to go through. And he ended up placing 5th in the B main, 15th. So I told him, great job, son. Great job.
Good. And Megan, obviously, I call him Tebow all the time, but Jared, he TQ'd and got second. Can you talk to us about how he was feeling after that? And are you guys starting to appreciate the result, or did you want more, or how does it feel?
Oh man, I was so proud of him. It's so hard. I could have cried for him. I knew he was close to tears after that one. He's still so bummed. I mean, at the hotel this morning, he was like, oh, I was just so close. Like, I was in the lead that last main. And, and it's just one of those things that he didn't even know he was going to wreck off that jump. And when he did, I mean, there's nothing you could have done different. And so it's hard, I think, for being the supporter. And I'm sure Darlene knows that. It's just you want to be supportive and tell them it's okay, but at the same time mourn with them. And so, on main day, I was like, it's okay, you did so great. And, in that moment, I should have just been more like, I'm so sorry, So it's just definitely a hard role when you're here at the races, because it's just, so yeah, he's still very bummed about it. And he's trying to rev himself up for 4-wheel, so trying to enjoy that. But I think once we get home and several weeks later, I think he'll really, he sees how well he did, and he's really grateful for placing second TQ, but he's still mourning that loss.
Yeah, I don't think, when I think about my racing, there's the times when I enjoy some of the events that I've been fortunate to win, but there's always those ones that I always eat at you no matter what. Whether it's at my level or Jared's level. And I don't think that changes in any sport or anything else. Obviously, it just comes down to you can't win every race all the time, right? So as long as you're there all the time and you're competitive, and to be honest, making that mistake and then him coming back in the field a little bit, he still got second. And, lots of times people will throw the whole thing away because they didn't get what they wanted, was the win. But he still got the second, which is nice because he could have easily got third or fourth. And then it's even more disappointing. So I think being able to recover and get the second was still a big thing for him. And how about you? How's your Worlds experiences going? You've been to a lot of them since 2003. What's been your favorite Worlds experience?
Wow. I think I've been to 10 so far. I don't know. I think last year in Italy was I liked the Nitro. We had really good pit spots or viewing from pit lane, so that was really fun last year. Really felt part of the action, being so close to the drivers and the pit guys and stuff. But yeah, this year, Utabi is amazing. The track, there's tons of places to watch. It's really going really well. So it's a lot of fast guys out there.
So you're ranking this as one of your best ones you've been to?
Facility-wise, absolutely. Totally top-notch. Yes, blows every other one away. Yeah.
All right, well, there we go. That's a little chat with the ladies in RC here at Utabi Arena. Thanks, everybody, Darlene and Megan and Allison. And let's go watch some more practice.